Welcome to the Duquesne University Coaches Show, presented by UPMC, the official healthcare provider of the Duquesne Dukes, and Mike's Beer Bar. Meet me at Mike's. It's time for the Sherwin-Williams Painting the Picture to Victory segment. Sherwin-Williams is the official paint provider of Duquesne Athletics. Duquesne opened NEC play with a convincing 34-14 win over Stonehill at Rooney Field. After a scoreless first quarter, the Dukes scored on 3 straight drives, an 18-yard run by Taj Butts, a 20-yard touchdown by Ness Davis, and a 21-yard pass from Tyler Riddell to Ryan Petrus to take a 20-0 halftime lead. Riddell finished 19 of 31 for 231 yards and 3 touchdowns, marking his second straight game with 3 scoring passes. Petrus added a second touchdown on a 52-yard reception in the third quarter as the Dukes built a 27-0 lead. Defensively, Duquesne held Stonehill scoreless through 3 quarters and limited them to 254 total yards. This week, 4 Dukes earned NEC honors. Tyson Miguez is Defensive Player of the Week, leading the team with 9 tackles, including a 1.5 for loss, along with a forced fumble and a pass breakup. Ryan Petrus earned Rookie of the Week, catching 2 touchdowns on 3 receptions for 82 yards. 2 more Dukes earned Prime Performer honors. Tyler Riddell threw 3 touchdown passes and became just the second active FCS quarterback to surpass 9,000 career passing yards. Ness Davis rushed for a season-high 111 yards and a touchdown, the most by any NEC back against a Division I opponent this week. With the win, Duquesne improves to 15-3 all-time in NEC openers and 10-1 at home. Next, the Dukes wrap up their 3-game homestand with St. Francis coming to town. The Red Flash enter 0-5, coming off a bye, and drop their NEC opener 31-7 at Central Connecticut State in Week 3. That was the Sherwin-Williams Painting the Picture Victory segment. Sherwin-Williams, the official paint provider of Duquesne Athletics.
Science doesn't happen in a silo. More and more, we need to have expertise from lots of different fields. And so that's one of the amazing things here at Hillman. Everyone here is committed to doing research that is going to ultimately help patients' lives. So bringing together lots of different smart minds that have a common mission is really the way that we're going to move forward.
For all your sports watching needs and great food, meet me at Mike's. Mike's Beer Bar was voted best sports bar in Pittsburgh. 300 local beers, 80 local taps, over 500 beers, and steak on a stone. Mike's Beer Bar, next to PNC Park, Federal Street, North Shore.
Hello and welcome back to the Duquesne University Football Coaches Show. Tim Benz along with Jerry Schmitt, head coach of the Duquesne Dukes, brought to us by Cordia, creating energy solutions. Our show brought to you by Mike's Beer Bar on the North Shore, as well as UPMC. UPMC Health Plan, the official healthcare provider of Duquesne Athletics. All right, Jerry, let's start off by talking about the latest victory for you guys to open up conference play against Stonehill, 34-14. A first quarter very much living up to advertising with Stonehill's defense, a real defensive struggle that sort of felt like the Lehigh game to an extent, where there was a lot of feeling out for the offenses and the defenses won the day early. When did you start to feel the tide turn?
There were 2 really good defenses on that field. Not only Stonehill, who've been very stingy, but the Dukes really, I think, flexed their muscle and on the defensive side and kept Stonehill off the scoreboard there as the offense started to get acclimated. You miss a couple third down conversions. You really only sometimes get 1 or 2 series in the quarter. And so if you miss a couple third downs, you're a little bit off, then you're not moving the chains. And so I think that's what happened in the first quarter. We missed a couple third down conversions and then got rolling in the second quarter and did a really good job.
As far as Taj Butts and Ness Davis went, your running backs, you didn't have Sean Solomon as a part of the mix for this game against Stonehill. I guess if you could, maybe give us an update on him, how he's doing health-wise going into St. Francis this weekend, and how you thought the other 2 backs handled an increased workload until you got DeJohn Hopkins in there later in the game.
Yeah, Sean's progressing. He'll be questionable again this week. He's doing a good job with rehab. Our athletic trainers are doing a good job getting him rehabbed up. So we're hoping to get him back here soon. Those 2 guys stepped up, did an outstanding job. Taj has been limited a little bit the prior weeks. He's getting more and more healthy, closer and closer to 100%. Happy for him. I kind of wish he'd have been able to toe that sideline and get another touchdown in because it was going to be a breakaway. But, Ness had an outstanding game again. He just runs so hard downhill, and his balance is uncanny to stay on his feet. And so certainly happy to have those two guys combined with the offensive line and tight ends. And as you mentioned, the receivers blocking, getting downhill and playing physical style running football.
I want to go to the wide receivers. We talked about their blocking, but their pass catching was instrumental to another victory. Let's start with Boyd, since you brought him up. That great catch he made on 4th down, that was a play where you're sort of in between. If I'm remembering right, there was either a penalty or a delay of game, something that puts you back an extra 5 yards. So it was a 4th and long, and there's a timeout that was expended. The sequencing of that play just didn't feel good going into it. But once you got the snap off, he made a great catch, and that was kind of the nail in the coffin for the game.
Yeah, it was unbelievable focus by him, and showed off his talents, his hands. We've been seeing that now, for all last year and a little bit of camp here. He got banged up, missed a couple games. But really, I think guys were waiting for him to showcase his skills, and boy, did he. And so happy for him, getting a couple catches here, getting more and more acclimated and more comfortable with Tyler. And, it's going to benefit us moving forward here.
In the time that I've been around your program, at least since about 2018, I think is when I started calling games and doing this show with you, you've always had really good depth at receiver going into seasons. You've had some transfers, upperclassmen, graduates that have come in and made impact in year one. It's not necessarily easy to be an incoming freshman and impact your wide receiver rotation, but Petrus has. How is he? Why has he showed out the way that he has to you, where you've decided to make him and incorporate him into the wide receiver rotation as much as you have?
I think you're right. As far as a true freshman coming in and being able to play in that wide receiver core. But I think if you looked across the country, it's hard for any true freshman to play, just to get acclimated to the game, to the system, to what college ball's all about. And he's done an outstanding job. And I mentioned it Saturday after the game, for him to be able to do that in a veteran room, in a talented room, in a deep room, is what's so impressive for him as a young man. But we saw it early on that he had a chance. He's taking advantage of his opportunity. He continues to learn, get comfortable with Tyler, watches the older guys, and he picks up the system. He's a very smart football player, and he picks up the system, and then it allows his skills to make some plays.
I'm not saying he's Joey Isabella yet, but he seems to have the body type and some of the molds perhaps to be what Joey has been for this program. Do you see him in that role, or do you think he'll evolve into a different type of receiver?
Yeah, Tim, he's going to be Ryan Petrus and whatever he can learn off Joey, and he admits it. He's watching all the veterans, but Joe's a great role model. He mentioned it Saturday after the game, just on and off the field, the way he carries himself, the way he works, and Ryan is similar in that nature as a person, as a work ethic, and, he's going to continue to develop his skills.
Now, speaking of Joey, he had 8 catches, 54 yards, and a touchdown. It's not the biggest day statistically in terms of yardage, but I did feel like he imprinted the game more substantially maybe than what 54 yards would suggest. I thought he did some really good things out there, including scoring that touchdown late.
No, he makes a huge impact. He takes up defenders and opens lanes for other guys. The seam ball to Petrus was because they were all over, Joe's seam on the other side of the field. And so, and he runs at full speed, and he runs it like he's getting every route. So he makes a huge impact, even when he's not getting the statistics.
Tyler Riddell, your quarterback's going to join us in a little bit when we're done speaking here. What did you know about him coming in when you made the decision to recruit him and potentially have him replace Darius Parentis after Darius's eligibility was up last year? And
I think he has he's a veteran, obviously has thrown for a lot of yards in FCS football. He took a team to the playoffs. He basically understands the game, and that's where I've started to learn more and more how much he really understands the game. He's been coached well. He's a smart football player. He understands. So it's very easy. It was an easy transition for him to get into our system because what we call it, he did it somewhere else similar. And understanding how we do things with protections and play calls and RPOs. And he has a very welcoming personality. with the rest of our football team and with the staff and with myself. And I really enjoy working with him and coaching him.
Mentioned it. I think there's only one other active quarterback in FCS that has more than 9,000 yards. He eclipsed 9,000 yards last time out for you guys in the game against Stonehill. And here, there seems to be an element to his personality that you talked about where he doesn't get frustrated or bogged down if things aren't going well early. We've seen a couple times now in recent games where it hasn't been easy sledding on the first drive or the first quarter, and then you look up and I think the last 3 games have been like that, and there were some pretty decent offensive performances from the passing game.
Yeah, there's no doubt he doesn't. He keeps his cool head, and you know, there's a competitiveness underneath that maybe you don't see, and I recognize at times. You know, some facial expressions that he'll come over, and you know, we talk about it, but that little bit of frustration is how competitive he is, and he wants to be really good. And I like that part about him. I think he'll looking really forward to, you know, next football game with him.
Can you speak about the return of Tyson Miguez at linebacker? He was the NEC Defensive Player of the Week. How much that helped you guys getting him back against Stonehill, A, and B, the job that you guys did against their wide receivers. Kim, who was a very good wide receiver, hit you for one play, but aside from that, I thought you did a really nice job on him. And Brigham Dunphy, I think, at 150 yards in the game we played against him last year, and you had him shut out. So how did you guys manage to take both those guys out of the game relatively in their passing attack?
Tyson did an awesome job. He really rehabbed faster than we thought and got back on the field, and he's a great leader. He's a captain, very deserving of the award. But by him being back, too, it helped Jabari and helped Avery and those guys, you know, in that linebacker crew. And the front really controlled their front, their offense, you know, and it allowed our D-backs to play a really good football, really great leverage, really great coverage, playing with confidence. Our guys were playing with confidence and able to shut those guys down. It was a great job by the defense. Phenomenal.
Finally, St. Francis. This is going to be weird getting them for the last time before they go to D3. What do they look like coming into this last trip as an NEC opponent through Rooney Field?
Similar St. Francis team, well coached, very stingy on defense, do multiple things on offense, can keep you off balance. They've got a good squad. I know they're going through some transition here, and they had some things when it happened that they were going to move to D3. Lost some players, but they've done a really good job. I got to tell you something, their record is not indicative of how good a football team they are. And of course, they're going to come in here with potentially the last game here that we play them, at least for a while, that they're going to want to finish this off beating the Dukes, especially on Rooney Field.
See, I don't know what the weather's going to be like on Saturday, but last time before it might turn and get a little bit cold, you guys are away for a while, right?
It's homecoming. There'll be a ton of players back, ton of alums back. It's never bad weather on the bluff. You know that.
Yeah.
It's always a beautiful day, and it has been the past couple weeks. It's a great atmosphere, close to the game. You can see and hear everything going on. It's a great place to watch a college football game.
And speaking of homecoming, we are doing a homecoming radio show at the Cambria Hotel downtown. So Jerry and I will be there Friday night before the game. Coming out and join us there. 6:30 is when we get things started on Fox Sports Pittsburgh 970. For this edition, though, Jerry, thanks a lot for joining us. Appreciate it, and best of luck against St. Francis on Saturday for homecoming events. All right, Jerry Schmitt, head coach of the Duquesne Dukes, has been our guest here, again brought to us by Cordia, Creating Energy Solutions. The Coaches Show is brought to you by Mike's Beer Bar on the North Shore, and, of course, by UPMC Health Plan, the official healthcare provider of the Duquesne Dukes. Quarterback Tyler Riddell coming up next as you watch here on SportsNet Pittsburgh.
At Cordia, we approach energy from a different point of view, asking what's next instead of what now? Perfecting solutions long before they are needed. Our team pushes boundaries, asks tough questions, and explores every possibility. We drive innovation so the energy you rely on today paves the way to a more sustainable tomorrow. Cordia, creating energy solutions.
I was diagnosed with a very rare form of cancer and told you should seek end-of-life care. I went to UPMC And so the very first time, I didn't get that blank stare. He said, this is what we do, saving lives like mine.
At Duquesne, it's our joy to help you discover what you're good at and why that's good for the world. We want you to become a problem solver who thinks bigger, who is driven by compassion and empathy. Together, we will work towards achieving your goals and a greater sense of purpose. We're ready with an education that's everything you need and more than you imagined. It's time for bigger goals. Duquesne University.
Tyler Riddell is brought to us by Summit Academy and the Academy Schools, inspiring hope through education and treatment. Welcome back to the Duquesne University Football Coaches Show with quarterback Tyler Riddell of the Duquesne Dukes. I'm Tim Benz here on SportsNet Pittsburgh, brought to us by Mike's Beer Bar and UPMC Health Plan, the official healthcare provider of Duquesne Athletics. Tyler, thanks a lot for taking time to join us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
How have you found campus life? We'll get to football in a second, but you transferred here after 2 other stops in college football. How has Duquesne treated you campus-wise? How has college life been here in Pittsburgh?
I think the campus has treated me pretty well. You know, it's in a prime location, in the middle, almost dead middle of a pretty big city. Something that I haven't experienced since being in college, kind of being at 2 places that some people would refer to as the middle of nowhere. So I've enjoyed it here so far.
You grew up in Tampa, right?
Yes, sir.
So you're a little bit more
This is
big city feel than
this is
the other
my
two.
speed.
Okay, I gotcha. Because ETSU and Gardner-Webb, well, let's talk about it from a football perspective. What did you glean from your 2 stops there in those places that you have applied here since you've gotten to Pittsburgh with Duquesne?
Obviously just the experience of playing so much, and then I had some good coaches at both stops. Taking what they taught me and applying it to what's a similar system here, because everybody really runs the same stuff. You just draw it up different ways. So I had some good coaches that have prepared me for almost anything thrown at me. And then again, just the experience of playing for so long, you just learn so much about yourself and you're able to apply that.
You were a new component coming into an offense where there was a lot of carryover with returning players from the offensive line and the offensive backfield, a mix at wide receiver. But how did you feel the guys allowed you to acclimate once you got on campus, and what happened in the summertime to sort of allow you to do that? How has that carried over here in the fall?
I think the team has done a great job of not just bringing me in, but anybody who's new to this team. You hear a lot of people talk about culture nowadays. Everybody mentions it. Everybody doesn't really have it. I thought when I got here at Duquesne, they had a great culture who really embraced the new players and kind of showed me, you know, the foundation of the program and what we stand for and what we want to do and how we carry ourselves, things like that. And then on the field, like you said, so many players returned, the whole offensive line, 2 running backs that have played a lot of football here, and then some good receivers as well. Just make my job easier.
Throughout the kind of, and Jerry has spoken about this too, Coach Schmitt, sort of a jagged schedule before the conference to start, in the sense that you had the 2 FBS schools, but they were separated in between by a good FCS program, a Division II program, and then you had a team that's coming into the NEC next year in New Haven, all that back and forth before you started NEC play. How did you feel that schedule got you guys ready for competition against Stonehill this past week to open up your conference schedule?
Right. I think having all of our non-conference games before our conference play starts is important. Let you kind of work out all the wrinkles and whatnot. It's not always like that. Sometimes you'll get a couple non-conference games during the conference or end of the year, like very last game, and I never really cared for that. So while it was kind of like up and down in competition, I liked being able to get all the non-conference games knocked out before the conference play started.
I wanted to ask you about your relationship with Joey Isabella. I remember doing a piece on him for the Trib, and we were talking about how much he was in touch with you as soon as you committed and how important it was for him to build a relationship with you before you guys even started practicing. Have you found that foundation being part of the reason why you guys have connected as well as you have?
Yeah, I think so. I really like Joey. I mean, he's a great person. We kind of just hit it off right off the bat. Connect very well, gel together. Obviously, he's a great player. Feel like I always see what he's seeing, and he's always seeing what I see. So we complement each other very well, I would say.
I didn't talk about Boyd yet, though, and I wanted to ask you about that big connection you guys had on fourth down. Can you walk me through that play a little bit?
Obviously it's fourth down, so I gotta get the ball out somewhere and just give somebody a chance. And KB is a great player who hasn't really got going as much as we want to yet. But I think you'll see more of that in these next couple of games because, like you said, he's a great player. He can go up and get it. Not real tall, but still can go up and get it. And he's fast. He's able to create space.
One thing you've done in recent weeks, I think, is particularly against New Haven, you used your legs a lot. We've seen Logan Kushner come in and run in touchdowns, but I was talking with Cam McLaurin coming off the field after that New Haven game, and we were joking about it before, how you would run a lot to get to the red zone, and Logan was coming in and bolstering some touchdowns off of you. Did you like getting in and finishing those drives yourself, and how much do you trust your legs when the alleys are open for you to exploit?
I did. I do like running the ball. I think it brings a whole different element to our offense. Makes you truly guard. Think about all 11 people on the field. Um, I have no problem with Kush coming in, to get his. I support it. I support Kush. I think he's a great player. But I do like being able to get in there myself. And I think I could run a little bit.
All right, well, listen, thanks a lot for doing this, Tyler. Really appreciate it. And best of luck against St. Francis coming up for homecoming. And enjoy your time here at Duquesne. Glad that you're here.
Thank you for
All
having
right.
me.
Tyler Riddell has been our guest here, quarterback for the Duquesne Dukes, here on the Coaches Show. Again, brought to us by Cordia Creating Energy Solutions and by the Academy Schools and Summit Academy. We'll be back with more here as we roll on SportsNet Pittsburgh.
Introducing Budweiser Zero. 0% alcohol, 0 grams of sugar, full Budweiser flavor. For all the moments you want a beer and need to stay on your game. Budweiser Zero, 0 compromise.
As Western Pennsylvania's largest regional public accounting firm with local ownership and management, Schneider Downs gives you the global ideas your company needs right here at home. Schneider Downs, big thinking, personal focus.
The reason we do this is to change the lives of patients for the better. Pancreatic cancer has a reputation for being a tough cancer to deal with. If you can add mileage to someone's life, the ability for patients to live longer, enjoy time with their family, witness a wedding of a daughter or a son, that's really what we're aiming for.
It's time to look behind the numbers, courtesy of the accounting and consulting firm Schneider Downs. Find out how big thinking with a personal focus can help your organization. Tyler Riddell ranks 3rd in the FCS with 14 passing touchdowns this season and is 7th nationally in points responsible for. Wide receiver Joey Isabella surpassed 2,000 career receiving yards last week and caught a touchdown to extend his NEC lead to 7 this season, 3 more than any other conference receiver. The Dukes are leading the NEC and averaging 28.3 points per game and have rushed for over 175 yards in 4 of the last 5 games, including a season-high 298 yards in the win over New Haven. Duquesne currently leads the conference, averaging 164 yards per game on the ground, while defensively allowing a league-low 142 rushing yards per game. Against Stonehill last week, the Dukes held the Skyhawks to just 91 yards rushing, the second opponent this season to finish under 100. This Saturday, Duquesne hosts St. Francis for the 51st all-time meeting and what could be the last matchup for some time as St. Francis is moving to Division III beginning next year. The Red Flash, the Dukes' most played opponent, with Duquesne leading the series 40-10. The Gridiron Series began in 1913, and the matchup has been played every full season since 2005 and all but 10 seasons since 1969. That was a look behind the numbers, courtesy of the accounting and consulting firm Schneider Downs. Find out how big thinking with a personal focus can help your organization. On Saturday, October the 11th, the Duquesne Dukes host St. Francis at Rooney Field as part of Homecoming Family Weekend on the Bluff. The game will be streamed on NEC Front Row and broadcast locally on SportsNet Pittsburgh with radio coverage on Fox Sports Pittsburgh. For tickets and for game day information, go to GoDuquesne.com. This Road Ahead segment is brought to you by Dean Honda. Dean Honda, visit them on Route 51 in Pleasant Hills or at deanhonda.com.